occurred to me how silly this is in a way. I almost bumped into 8-Ball, and as I was trying to avoid bumping into him, I bumped into fucking you almost.
No, I'm saying close the door. Should we close the door?
Yeah, we have as many camera people as we do
exactly, we have
musicians.
as many camera people as we do musicians. God. Once upon a time, I was a younger man. Once upon a time, I was in a band. And that band was called Crash. So when I joined, we called it the Night of the Living Crash. But you know, when you're in a band, you're in your 20s, you're still a kid. I mean, you're still figuring it out. You're still trying to decide, who am I? And we all went through that. The Crash reunion didn't start out as the Crash reunion. Fred Peterson and Bill Delaney were in a band in the early 80s called the Spines. I've been so fortunate. All the musicians who are my friends are also excellent musicians. I have a band I call the Greatest Undiscovered Musicians of All Time. It originally was supposed to be a Spines reunion. Fred and Bill were in a great band, very punk, back in the early 80s. They actually recorded albums, albeit small release albums, but even so, it's more than I ever did. They wanted it to be a Spines reunion, but sadly time had already taken its toll with one of the members of the Spines, and so Fred turned to Bill, or maybe Bill turned to Fred, I don't know exactly, and said, why don't we make it a Crash reunion? And that's how it got started. The pictures you're seeing are from the sessions. If you've ever watched the Crash reunion, you know we are standing in Suite 16 Studios. Paul Sukovich is the engineer-owner, helped us out a lot, and the place was very conducive to shooting our little documentary called The Crash Reunion. The principal players that we were able to contact, Bob Ahrens was one guitarist that I worked with in the Night of the Living Crash, and he was unreachable even by this marvelous new invention called the internet. There's Frank Duncan. Now, I knew Frank through the band Crash, which was dissolving at that time. I recorded them. What can I say? An excellent guitarist. Also, a superb songwriter. Now, this is a gift largely lost to the sands of time now. Greg Ford, another original member of Crash on bass and vocals. It was good that he showed up. It would not have been Crash had he not. We couldn't have done it. And he's missed. Then there's Fred Peterson. Now here's an interesting character. Shortly after I met Crash back in the 70s, I had the idea to turn Dark Side of the Moon into an album-length music video. Kind of crazy, kind of ambitious. I'm trying to do it on Super 8 Phil in 1976. I don't know what the hell I was thinking of. But the important thing is I shot imagery, which turned out to be good imagery, which ultimately, when I got the opportunity to digitize the footage and electronically edit it together, I created something really special, I think. And Fred was always, in my mind, kind of the star of the show. He was the everyman musician, wannabe, could have been. And then there's Bill Delaney. Now, it's Bill who's the linchpin to all of this. I met Bill Delaney back in, I think it was 74. I had told Bill that I was a singer, and I played little keyboards, and they asked me to come down and play with them, and the Night of the Living Crash was born. Yes, from the ashes of Crash it rose to take over the world. No, you know, we're just a bunch of guys who were, again, trying to figure things out, and so for about a little more than a year, I think it was only about 14 months, Fred, of course, is the keeper of the archive, and he would know the exact start and end dates. You'd have to contact him. No, it was about 14 months, and it was great. We played Staten Island Community College Student Lounge a couple of times. I look back on it now and laugh. I should have done that then. but instead, you are evolving. You are becoming something based on your friend's influences. When a new friend comes into your life, it's almost like one gravitational body flying a little too close to another gravitational body, and your life course is altered just a little bit. And that's what happened with me and the members of Crash. We all kind of influenced each other's life just a little, not enough to turn it upside down or anything, but just, the fact that they are makes you do things. Several of the projects that I accomplished could never have been done without Bill's help. And later on, when Fred, Bill, and I started being the three amigos and shooting stuff, it only happened because we knew each other, and somebody made a suggestion. Hey, let's have a show. I'll get the barn, I'll get the scenery, I'll get the music. It's cool. We are looking back at a time in our lives which was looking back at a time in our lives. We're at the Crash reunion, and all these photographs you're seeing are from the Crash reunion, which is an interesting story in and of itself. We wanted to do live to tape, and when you go into a recording studio, it's generally assumed you're going to lay down some tracks and then you're going to put some overdubs. No, we played stuff essentially live and then overdubbed essential tracks later. And since Fred was only visiting, we had to get it right there, because nobody was coming back for another session. We did it all. We rehearsed for one day just to run through the stuff and make sure everybody hit the right points. But it was like riding a bicycle for these guys. They got right back on, and the songs sounded amazing from like take one. And a lot of that footage kind of makes it into the documentary. The modules are built around songs or experiences, how the band came about. But we did it. We said we were going to do something. We got together. We shot with virtually zero budget. I mean, the price of tapes. And then after that, all kind of sweat equity to kind of pull it together. I was learning as I was going, because I hadn't ever done a full project of any length other than music videos, which were all based on a set track. This new project required, audio mixing, and it was fun. It was fun. You can watch the Crash reunion on elsewhere on my YouTube channel. Start with Module 1. It's a worthwhile experience, but do not miss Module 9, which is Fred's closing credit interview. That will stand the test of time, if people ever discover it. We do these things for us. We do these things because it's something we wanted to see. Well, the wheel of time keeps turning, and we're considerably older now. Fred Peterson, Bill Delaney, and I just got together on November 18th of 2018, about a week ago, to look at a screening of a video I did of Fred's band Crush, which plays in the Daytona Beach area of Florida. I shot Crush last March 18th, 2018. Bill Delaney came down, and he did stills and some additional video, as well as assist with the audio recording of that film. So I wanted to set up a screening for Fred, and it felt better if we could talk Bill into coming down, and he readily agreed, and had the screening of Crush live at the Boot Hill Saloon. Turned out pretty good, all things considered. So they were here for the screening. Every time we get together, I always wonder, will we get together again? Well, I hope you've enjoyed the little photo montage. I've laid some of the music underneath it so you can get an idea of stuff that didn't make it into the Crash reunion film, but just killer music. Like I said, once I was a young man, once I was in a band. Thanks.